Finally achieve your dream job and haul ass through crowded streets as a skilled and formidable taxi driver in Taxi Life, a city driving simulator. Welcome everyone to another Sergeant Sentinel gaming review video. I'm SSG, aka Sergeant Sentinel, and today we're discussing Taxi Life, a city driving simulator. But before we continue, I want to say thanks if you're watching this video. I greatly appreciate it. Hit that like button if you enjoy this video. Share it out on social media. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I upload new content, whether it's live streams, game news, or game review videos. And of course, as always, if you have something to say, leave it in the comment section below. I do love to read you guys' comments and I interact as much as I can. Developed by Simteract and published by Nacon, Nacon, Taxi Life, a city driving simulator, is just that, a taxi driving simulator that released March 7th, 2024 for Windows, Xbox Series consoles, and PlayStation 5. For this review video, I played the PS5 version. Now, a great thing that this game does right from the start is it has a tutorial to teach you how to play this game, and trust me, you're going to need it, because you can't really wing it with a simulator. And even if you set it on arcade settings, this game still doesn't handle like racing games or other games where you might be driving a taxi cab. I'll touch on that in just a second. But there are a number of different tests it has you complete where you can get used to parallel parking, pulling up in a certain highlighted area, backing up your vehicle, doing three-point turns, and things like that. And I think that this tutorial is really essential for anyone wanting to play this game well. Now, a lot of people might say, well, you know what, I've played taxi games before, so it's not that big of an issue. Well, you have to get used to how these cars handle, and you have to get used to really being very meticulous with the steering and the placement of the car, specifically because where this game takes place is in beautiful Barcelona, but the unfortunate part of that is that a lot of these streets are very thin, and you have cars that are parked along these streets that are very close to where you're going to be navigating, and it's extremely easy, speaking from experience, of course, to hit cars, to hit mopeds, stuff like that, that are parked on the side of the road because of how narrow these roads are and how little margin for error there truly is on these roads. Also, based on which setting you choose, it's going to determine whether you're essentially driving an automatic or manual transmission. Now, something you got to note in this game is that the sim side of the house, the harder difficulty, is going to require a lot of your attention. You're basically not going to be able to just put it in gear and book it. You really got to pay attention to your turning signals. You have to pay attention to the speed limit signs. And you, of course, you don't want to be running into stuff. But if you're having to switch gears as well, it's going to make it a little difficult. So until you get used to this game, my suggestion, unless you're used to playing Sims, is that you really want to play under the arcade setting, because then it will essentially give you automatic transmission. And I would say to get used to that in the training area before you get out on the streets. Now, once you do get on those streets, it is all about the hustle. You got to get out there. You have to find fares that you can pick up. And your focus, obviously, is driving safely, but you also want to make as much money as you can. And that means you don't want to speed, you don't want to get tickets, and you don't want to hit pedestrians. Now, when you complete these fares, you essentially earn money, but you also earn XP, which of course can be used to unlock certain skill points that you have. One of the first skill points I unlocked was obviously I didn't want to get tickets as often, so the first ticket you would have gotten, you get a freebie, kind of like a warning, which is nice. There's other things you can upgrade, not just skill point wise, but you can actually pay for upgrades to your car to make it faster, make it handle more. You can change the color scheme and so on. And you can obviously buy different taxis as you progress through this game. Again, though, there's things that you really have to watch out for. One of my biggest complaints of this game is where some of these crosswalks are placed. They're not even at like intersections, so to speak. And whenever you're trying to focus on following the GPS, you're focused on the speed limits, you're focused on making sure that, you're following all the traffic laws. And you're going through some of these areas. Some of these areas, as you can see from the video segment right here, they have trees, they're shaded, and I've had a couple times where people have walked out from an area where I couldn't see them, and they walk right across the street. If you hit them, it costs you 100,000 in-game currency. Yes, you heard it right. And in this clip, you can see how some of them are in well-lit areas, some of them are not. You can turn your head and look, oh, there's no car coming, and then boom, out of nowhere, you get hit by a car. So my biggest complaint with this game is that it's hard to not get yourself in trouble. Now, with other games where you're driving taxis, obviously they're much more on the arcade side. This is much more on the sim side. So you can take that into consideration. It does obviously let you change the viewpoint from where you're playing the game from. And if you're trying to have a conversation with the person in the back seat, you want to be obviously in the cabin cockpit viewpoint, so to speak. But unfortunately, that limits how much you can really see what's going on around you. And when you can't see what's going on around you as much, it's harder to anticipate people walking out from behind a tree across a crosswalk. Like right here, you can see there's a crosswalk right by a tree and there's shade. So if someone was about to walk across, you wouldn't even know until you're about to hit them. Some of these cars will come out of nowhere. And for a lot of us gamers, especially gamers in the United States, the way these roads are, the traffic rules are a little different than they're going to be in the United States. And so it's going to take time to really learn how you're supposed to drive in these areas. Again, it's a sim, so it's leaning heavily on the sim feel, and that's fine. But for some people, it's going to be a significant learning curve. Now, scattered around the map are a number of collectibles that you can find, such as monuments and things like that. And finding those actually gives you XP, which is great because it helps you to level up faster. Also, I found the night driving to actually be easier than the daytime driving. The reason I say that is because you have headlights and there's not really going to be as many shadows as night, like coming down from the trees. And your headlights and all these other lights are going to illuminate that a lot more than sunlight trying to come down through the trees. Also, cars that are turning and all of that, you're going to see their headlights. So it's not like a car during the day like you saw in the earlier clip where I turn my head and I look, okay, no one's coming, and then boom, I get hit from the side. It's not going to be like that because you can see the headlights from the other cars, and that really helps, in my opinion. I liked driving at night a lot more than I did during the day in this game. It's also worth noting that if you damage your car, you have to fix it. If you drive a certain distance, you're going to run out of gas. You do have to fill up gas in this, which is great. Again, it's a sim, and you kind of expect those things in sims. It's not a bad game at all. I think it is a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun for a sim. For people expecting a more arcadey experience, you're probably not going to like this, but then again, it's kind of like comparing an Ace Combat game to something like Flight Simulator. Sims have their own distinct feel. They go more for realism than the arcade feel. And so again, if you're looking for a game that leans more on an arcade type of feel, a sim is not going to be for you. But for those that enjoy sim games, especially driving sim games, this game does a lot to really put you in the shoes of a taxi driver and help you to feel how it would feel. Driving fares around town, upgrading your ride, having to watch, the traffic laws and all that. And I think that's a great move on its part, on the developer's part, to put so much care into creating a game that's as accurate as they can possibly make it. Again, leaning on sim. So for a sim, I think it's a great game. If you don't like sims or you're okay with sims, you might be okay with this, but it's frustrating because you got to obey the traffic laws. And some of these fares, they lose patience, so you're going to lose money. I mean, all of them lose patience, but some of them will lose patience more than others. And if you're following the traffic laws, you're waiting at red lights, it's going to be hard to get there on time. Now, for those that are not necessarily too worried about taking that hit and they're like, well, I'm okay with following the traffic laws and taking my time to get there, even if it gives me less money. Hey, man, that's cool. More power to you. But this game does make you grind quite a bit, so you're going to want to get there as fast as possible just so you can earn that money because, like I said, to upgrade your car, to get new cars, you're going to need that money, and you got to hustle in this game to get it. You really got to hustle. So the faster you're going and the faster you get them there, the more money you're going to make. But then again, you're blowing past a speed camera and they're going to give you a ticket, and sometimes your passengers will get pissed off. One of them, because I was driving like crazy, one of them even said, hey, did you earn your license? And I was like thinking to myself, well, yeah, I'm just trying to get you there in time. But the unfortunate part is it's like you have to balance between trying to get them there quick and, trying to drive safely. The last thing I really want to comment on is that the handling takes a little getting used to. It feels almost like it was designed not for controllers, but maybe mouse and keyboard, or for a steering wheel, because with the controller, when I was turning the wheel, trying to get around a corner, it just felt like the size of this car in real life would turn quick, and it would have a great turn radius. It feels like this car doesn't, and maybe the developers designed this game more with steering wheels in mind. I suspect that might be the case, but I'm not sure. I don't have a steering wheel, so I can't say that for certain. But what I can say is the steering didn't feel anywhere near as responsive as other games where you're driving cars, especially games that are made by someone like Rockstar Games, obviously. And I mean, that's fine. This game is a sim. It's not supposed to be a Grand Theft Auto game, but I kind of feel like games like Grand Theft Auto spoil this a little bit. Like in Grand Theft Auto, you can drive a taxi. The handling is pretty damn good, and it's a small mini side game. It's not much. There's not much to it. There's not much to driving people around. You basically, you take a call. They're standing on the side of the road. You pick them up, and you drive them to the location where they want to be delivered. Now, with Taxi Life, a city driving simulator, you basically have to go into your GPS and select them. You can't pick them up from on the side of the road, and that is kind of frustrating, especially when a game like Grand Theft Auto is much more simplified. So in a nutshell, it's a driving sim where you're playing as a taxi driver. It is a lot of fun if you enjoy sims, but if you don't, you're probably not going to find this game as fun as a lot of other driving games out there. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Share this out on social media. And as always, if you have something to say, leave it in the comments section below. I love to read you guys' comments. That's it for this video. Thank you so much. This is SSG, aka Sergeant Sentinel. Take it easy, gamers.